Good evening, good morning, and good night to everyone around the globe. I doubt we're reaching audiences like that. But anyway, welcome back to the Moderately Educated News Network. I'm one of your hosts, Xavier Dukes. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Stefan Jones. Today we'll be discussing a little bit about FEMA funding and what's going on. I forget the guy's name. Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, recently released a statement saying that FEMA would not have enough money to make it through the hurricane season. As it stands, they do have enough money to handle Helene, I believe is the current hurricanes or the hurricane that ravaged Carolina and some other stuff. But they would have enough to make it through that, but not for Milton, which is right around the corner. So, diving a little bit more into FEMA funding, what's going on? Where's their money gone? It is purported that FEMA spent $640 million dollars or allegedly even more on immigrants. Is that the case? Where'd the money go? And do uh, do we need to stop spending money on immigrants to take care of our own? We will find out. Stefan, did I miss anything? Is there anything you'd like to add on to that or perspectives you like to share?
No, that is absolutely beautiful, factual explanation of what's going on. Yeah, no really questions, comments, concerns. That's great opening, man. Hey,
Excellent.
make sure you guys, if you see anything you agree, disagree with, make sure to leave a comment and let us know why you're disagreeing.
Most definitely. So that being said, just laying some groundwork. What is a government shutdown? It's meaning when the government can't spend money that requires annual appropriations. Um, it can't afford to pay, facilities, employees, and keep certain buildings open. So at times a continuing resolution is passed or a stopgap bill where we temporarily continue to fund the government um, by continuing funding levels from the prior year. So as of September, because I believe the government deadline was on October 1st, we passed a bill, a stopgap bill, allowing for continued funding at the current rates which exist for the following departments, one of those being DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. Um, and you can see here the bill and the votes for it for the House and the Senate, respectively. This extended funding for the government until the end of the year, where we'll have to reconvene and ultimately come up with a more long-term budget. But as for now, things remain open and funded. So let's see. Yep. Oh, this is okay. This is seemingly a bit old. On January 18th, yeah, we've passed multiple stopgaps, and this is a temporary way of dealing with a problem or satisfying a need. Ultimately, it's not a long-term budget. So, let's answer the ultimate question. Is FEMA out of money? Well, Alejandro Mayorkas, they said it. He said it. He's the leader of DHS, which houses these various entities, the Coast Guard, TSA, FEMA, the Customs Border Patrol Agency, and ICE. These are all underneath the DHS umbrella. That being said, capabilities for one department are occasionally used in service of other departments, such as in the case of Customs Border Patrol's grant to assist migrant and this was referred to as their shelter and services program. And these grants are granted to various cities and programs that assist in the sheltering and aid of migrants in the United States. That being said, to my knowledge, FEMA and Customs Border Patrol, their funding streams are separate and do not overlap. So when people say that FEMA is out of money. Um, it is true, but not for the reason of we spent it all on migrants. That is strictly from the Customs and Border Patrol budget. Um, FEMA has run out of money in the past in the face or in lieu of in unprecedented disasters. Whether that's like fighting wildfires in Hawaii, I believe there's some. There's other things going on other than just hurricanes, but these hurricanes have caused, I think Helene caused alone $160 billion of estimated damage. And right now, FEMA's funding, as of the stopgap bill, was around 20 billion. So nowhere near the level to fully repair that instance, or that the damage is done here. Yep, as I stated, doesn't have enough money to cover further hurricanes. Need Congress to give more money and allocate a budget for disaster relief. Disaster relief is a specific pool. The disaster relief fund is a fund specific to FEMA. It gets funding, and that funding cannot be touched as it is specifically allocated for disaster relief. So any money FEMA spends or the Customs and Border Patrol spends is completely separate from this fund dedicated to disaster relief. Um,
So here's an important thing though that I will say. It's that since 2003, the money allocated towards the border patrol has increased. It's tripled from 5.9 billion to 19.6 billion now. So as far as budget and the money that's being allocated towards that, it has increased when the money in terms of being budgeted, right, could be better served towards the American people, but that's just
well, to
something.
some people's argument, some would say that the migrant issue is a pressing issue that does need to be solved, so therefore the allocation of funds there is appropriate. Also, that that jump could likely be explained by the growth of the U.S. economy. I think it's more appropriate to share what percentage or the ratio or per capita or whatever percentage of GDP of our total GDP goes to this specific source of funding. Because if it may be overall more, but if you account for inflation and the growth of American markets overall, it could be potentially a smaller drop in the bucket than it was in 2003. So that's just something that was worth considering. That just the fact that they're receiving more, same way that Biden has spent more in this presidency, isn't indicative of negative spending habits, because he also brought in more money than previous administrations. So hence warrants more spending. So those are things to keep in mind and consider. But that also being said, so what's next? How is FEMA going to get more money? Alejandro Mayorkas says we need Congress to get us more. Well, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson said on Sunday that he does not intend to call Congress back into session anytime before the election. And so more than likely, FEMA will be stuck with $20 billion on a $160 billion problem as of right now. And it's only going to get worse. They're stuck with that 20 billion until December 20th because we don't plan on giving them any more money until the after the election's over. So take it up with Mike.
I am curious though. So, out of curiosity, what are the or is this a unprecedented situation? For example, what I mean by that is if you said FEMA's run out of money in the past multiple times, right? That's a factual statement. Cool. If that's the case, has there been other uh Speaker of the Houses that have called an emergency meeting when they've already passed the stopgap bill with a specific date set on the stopgap bill? Like, can you call Congress back and be like, hey, no, we need to do this now. Can you accelerate that process when a date's already been agreed upon? And if
Yep.
so, um, would everybody have to agree to it and it be a partisan thing?
Yep. It would probably need to be bipartisan, and largely we just call that emergency funding. We 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 find a way to fund that issue. And the budget still remains like continued funding for those departments will remain consistent. But if we need for whatever reason to print more money and deal with the problem, I mean, it is within Congress's purview to do that. The
And
fact that
as
that's
far
not happening is what's that?
No, yeah, that is kind of crazy. But as far as the president, as far as executive orders can go, can he not allocate any money whatsoever towards them? Because I know typically things have to be passed in Congress in regards to spending and stuff like that. But Biden has also signed executive orders in the past that have been able to help a couple people get loan forgiveness. So I'm kind of curious about the logistics of that as well.
Could Biden approve emergency funding? I'm not that knowledgeable on executive orders. I think it's more than I'd say it's likely that there probably is something that can be done to enable some form of emergency spending. Um, I think COVID would be a great example of that. I don't exactly know where all of COVID legislation came out of or how much executive orders contributed to like COVID spending.
Yeah.
If at all, I'd be curious to see about that and if the president can. Because that is Congress's duty. Like that's their role outlined in the Constitution. They handle budget spending and things of that nature. I'd be curious if that's a shared privilege of the office of the president. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't answer that.
And that's one thing that they're not necessarily motivated to do is really truly take care of the American people. And that's really where I personally feel like our founding fathers failed us by not giving them term limits. But that's just me.
Okay. Um, let's see. And then as for I know, so regarding FEMA aid and things of that nature, there was a scandal of various GOP representatives and previous ex-presidents making statements regarding that certain states and governors were not receiving aid at all from the federal government. And Biden, I don't know if you've seen the video, but I will, oops, give me just a moment. I will share my screen and play a fun clip. I really loved seeing Biden put on his big boy pants and get a little stern with people here. He put a little bit of bass in his voice for this bad boy. Donald Trump has accused both of you of ignoring the
He is lying. Let me get this straight. He's lying. And the governor told him he was lying. The governor told him he was lying.
Oh, was my screen sharing still paused?
No, yeah, I wanted to tell you, but I
That's
am,
great. All
yeah,
right.
my
My
bad,
bad,
bro.
because I accidentally paused it. All right. We'll not gonna listen to that again because I'm sure you heard it. So yeah, the visuals aren't that important. Um, but this is a false claim from Trump and other GOP representatives. And this is just a video. If you're interested in looking at it, we can, but of governors disproving said statement, saying that they received adequate aid from the Biden administration. Um, and it's also worth noting, I think in my research that Biden did ask for additional funding for the disaster relief and FEMA funding last October. Unfortunately, that was not part of the bill that ended up getting passed, so we did not receive it. But we're biting a bullet on it now, so we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. And one thing I'd want to say is I actually appreciate Biden coming out and saying that all the governors, like it was very bipartisan comment. He said all the governors are basically doing what they need to do, putting in work to try to make sure their people are good. Because Kamala was basically like, "Oh, Ron DeSantis in Florida, he didn't answer my call," blah blah blah. Like, and Ron was like, "Bro, I didn't even see your call. It's not about you." And then Biden doubled down on that, making her look silly. It's like, yeah, he's doing a great job over there. Like, I gave him my personal number, all this stuff. Like, so shout out to Joe for that too.
For sure. Um, but yeah, if that's about it, if there's no other questions, comments, or concerns, we can go ahead and wrap up.
Sounds like a plan. Well, guys, that's what's going on with FEMA spending in the budget. So essentially, Congress is going to need to get it together and hopefully get these people some extra money in the budget or some emergency funding because we're talking like Cat 5 hurricanes, man. Like if you don't know how strong those winds are, you're talking about over 160-mile-per-hour winds. A lot of people's homes and everything they own is going to be completely destroyed and ravaged, man. So prayers up for the people out in North Carolina, prayers up for the people out in Florida. And guys, just really, if you can do anything to donate and help those people, if you have the means to do so, please do so. That being said, if you enjoyed the content, enjoyed learning about what's going on, make sure to leave a like a comment if you disagree with anything that we said, and make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date on all upcoming videos. And that being said, guys, we appreciate you, we love you, and share with a family member, and peace.